Before diving into today's video, take a moment to ensure you're subscribed. It's completely free and helps you stay updated on all our stories. Verdict. A human tapped his fingers impatiently on the desk. "Why does everyone tread so carefully?" he muttered. Across from him, Ula, a strikingly tall and vibrantly purple Aurora, scowled. "Because if he offers us stability, we can finally go legitimate." The Pill, a race characterized by their pale blue skin and oversized ears draped over their shoulders, were rarely seen as appealing due to their sly and underhanded tendencies. Similarly, the Org, once mere gelatinous beings, had evolved to mimic humans after developing a deep admiration for them following first contact. This admiration extended to altering their genetic makeup to appear more humanoid. Verdict, however, held a long-standing disdain for humans. His pirate career had been sparked by human interference, and through sheer determination, he had claimed leadership of the rogue station Ares. The station orbited a resource-poor moon, Era, mainly known for its agriculture. Here, a melting pot of beings coexisted under Verdict's strict but unusual leadership. Verdict had discovered the station abandoned after a creature outbreak. After eradicating the threat with his pirate crew, he had worked tirelessly to reclaim the space. Despite being a pill, he yearned for a peaceful existence, weary of the deaths and chaos surrounding him. His vision of stability drove him to push for significant changes, starting with transforming his crew's rowdy ways. Ula, his trusted companion and enforcer, had been instrumental in his rise. Once a relentless force of destruction, she had undergone genetic rewriting and emerged as a towering humanoid figure. However, her transformation perplexed Verdict. "Did you really choose that form?" he asked, eyeing her critically. Ula grinned, tapping her lips. "I modeled myself after a popular human celebrity. She had countless videos online." "Not interested," Verdict quickly interjected, shaking his head. Despite her physical transformation, Ula remained a formidable enforcer. Yet, Verdict found her new quirks, like mimicking hair flicks with her jelly-like appendages, distracting. The topic shifted to a potential new arrival seeking diplomatic immunity. "What's the catch?" Verdict questioned. Ula explained. "Diplomatic immunity means he's untouchable, no lawsuits, no Earth intervention, nothing." "That's absurd," Verdict scoffed. "What if he kills someone?" Ula chuckled, twirling Verdict in a human-inspired waltz. "All humans get this immunity. They're dangerous, but surprisingly charming." Verdict begrudgingly joined in the dance, silently pondering the balance between danger and opportunity humans brought to his station. Verdict had heard the story so many times he could probably recite it by heart. The only reason the human was likely coming out was because you kept bombarding him with digamails, Aola said, with a grin, at least as much of a grin as an Aurora could manage. Their teeth were just extensions of their mouth, marked only by extra lines to indicate they were teeth. "But he was so nice about it," she added. "He's coming here on his own and we handle all the paperwork. Plus he even mentioned setting up a line of credit with Earth and making this a proper trading stopover." Verdict paused mid-stride, turning to face her. "He said that?" "He said he'd make this a dedicated stopover." "Aha," Ola chirped, kneeling down to meet Verdict at eye level. "Think about it, we can finally become a proper station. No more dealing with lowlifes, and I won't have to keep breaking people's bones. You could relax, buy those fancy suits you're always eyeing on your data slate, and enjoy the rewards of all your hard work." "It's been, what, nearly 10 years. 11, Verdict murmured, staring down at her boots. Aola cupped his face with her large purple hands, tilting his head up. "I know it's been tough being shunned by the other pill. I know the names they call you," she said, giving his oversized ears a gentle pinch. "But if this works out, the only thing they'll call you is Sir." Verdict's grayish skin darkened around his neck and chest, flushing at the thought. He met Aola's eyes and gave a small nod. "All right, Aola, you've convinced me. Bring him in and grant him immunity. He'll be here in less than a week if the skip lanes stay clear, Ola said softly before leaning down to plant a wet, affectionate kiss on his forehead. You're finally doing it, boss. You're finally going to become the important person I always knew you could be. No more being a pirate just because your people didn't think you were pill enough. Verdict, overwhelmed with emotion, swallowed hard, cleared his throat, and patted Aola on the shoulder. Thanks, Aola. I'll even get you one of those new tubs the other Aurora are talking about. A jelly belly, Aola asked in an excited tone, effortlessly lifting Verdict off the ground. Do you mean it? How are you even stronger now? Verdict laughed as she spun him around. Yes, I'll get you the damn jelly tub or whatever. Just stop spinning me, you're going to make me sick. The anticipation on the station was visible, a palpable energy shared by everyone except Aola. Verdict had sent her out to instill some much-needed discipline among the workers. As usual, she excelled, even going so far as to deal with a troublesome crew of Cullen pirates. When one of them resisted, Aola swiftly shattered his spine, forcing their captain to fall in line. After that, the Cullens became model visitors. Got any chewing gum left? Verdict asked as he anxiously watched a massive ship approach. Aola handed him a strip from her pocket. Here you go, boss. Why is he coming in on a destroyer? Verdict muttered nervously, unwrapping the gum and popping it into his mouth. His brother commands it, and called in a favor, Aola replied, engrossed in a game on her data slate. His brother captains a human destroyer. Oh, great, Verdict muttered, wishing he had hair to run his hands through. Despite his nerves, the docking went smoothly. Mr. Capricus, the visiting human, was the epitome of polite professionalism. Though middle-aged and graying, his calm demeanor immediately put Verdict at ease. The human spent hours touring the station, offering advice on expansions and what human pilots valued in a stopover. Verdict feverishly took notes on his data slate, barely noticing the time until 10 hours had passed. Exhausted but hopeful, Verdict leaned back in his chair with a glass of bava in hand. I think we did it. Aola, he said, downing the pink liquid. I think he's going to approve us. Of course he will, Aola said, hands on her hips. I told him all about the station and you. He was impressed before he even arrived. Smiling, Verdict poured her a drink. Have a glass with me, you've earned it. Aola accepted with a smirk, downing the bava in one gulp. Though Aurora couldn't fully taste complex flavors, they appreciated the gesture as a sign of friendship. Yeah, I think you're worth the good stuff, Aola, Verdict said, pouring her another glass. Soon I'll be able to give you all the best. You've more than earned it after keeping me alive all these years. Aola smiled gently, taking the refilled glass. Thanks, Birdie. Verdict knew their bond was unique. Even if a human eventually stole Aola's heart, she would always be his best friend. The two were as close as thieves, which made sense. They had stolen plenty together. Verdict was pouring Aola her 7th drink as they laughed about their escapades on a stolen IPAL combat frigate. Their reminiscing was interrupted by an alarm blaring in the office. Both, slightly tipsy, stumbled toward the screen. The feed displayed the docking ring of the human destroyer, with Pill running frantically out of it. Son of a, Verdict growled, slamming his fist onto the console. Those idiots. Rons. Aola. I'm on it, Boss Aola muttered, rolling up the sleeves of her fitted suit to reveal her opaque purple arms. One arm shifted into a hammer, the other into a long shiv. They're not ruining this for you. I won't let them. Verdict nodded, and the two rushed out of the office, Verdict barking orders to security as they made their way to the docking ring. When Verdict arrived, he froze in place. There stood Mr. Capricus, holding a gun, a human firearm propelled by chemical reactions. Whoa, Mr. Capricus, Verdict shouted, stepping out of the hatch with Aola trailing behind him. Hold on. I have security. They killed one of my own, Mr. Capricus said coldly. A small platoon of human soldiers formed up behind him. They killed my cat, Mr. Verdict. Oh, Aola muttered, stepping in front of Verdict with surprising speed. Mr. Capricus Birdie had nothing to do with this. I know, Mr. Capricus replied with a nod. Nor does it reflect poorly on his station. Everything is in order. Do not worry. Thank Verdict started to say, exhaling in relief, but Mr. Capricus interrupted him. However, he continued, racking the charging handle of his weapon. This is why we always request immunity. I'm afraid this is personal now. I advise you to send your important personnel back to their quarters. Wait, hold on, Verdict exclaimed, ducking under Aeola's spread arms. What are you planning to do on my station? I might be a pill, but I can't condone violence and destruction here. There are innocent traitors' families. Do we really have to escalate this? Mr. Capricus frowned but shook his head. I understand, but they had no right to kill my beloved Flufferness. They will pay. Mr. Verdict, I suggest you and Ola retreat to safety. We will minimize collateral damage, but the bodies are ours. Verdict paled at the way Mr. Capricus said the bodies are ours. Flufferness, Verdict asked, turning to Aola. What is he talking about? He can't just kill over a cat. Blood dead, Ola replied softly. It's a human thing. He's justified, as far as they're concerned. The pill he's targeting are marked by what they stole and by the blood of his cat on their boots. It's personal. The human soldiers donned combat helmets with a hiss, their visors glowing faintly blue. Verdict's tipsiness vanished as fear set in. All this over a cat, he whispered to Aola. Humans are pack animals, she murmured. They hate injustice. We might be pirates, but we've never harmed the innocent. That's why he's here. Verdict groaned. All this over a cat. It wasn't just a cat, Aola said in a hushed tone. It was his wife's. She was sick in the hospital, and he got her the kitten to comfort her. It became his last memory of her after she passed. Verdict stared, dumbfounded, as the human soldiers advanced. They killed it thinking it was a guard or something, Ola explained further. As gunshots echoed through the station, Swams, Verdict's second in command, rushed over, holding a data slate. The pill hacked into the human ship's door jambs, he reported breathlessly. They spooked when the guards showed up and didn't get past the cargo hold. Morons, Verdict growled. A gunshot thundered through the station, and Swams checked his feed, eyes wide. Stars above, they're killing the entire gang. Almost 100 of them. Verdict snatched the slate, watching in horror as Mr. Capricus and his soldiers tore through the pill gang. Mr. Capricus wielded a glowing pulse dagger, cutting through flesh and bone like paper, while another human used power gauntlets to crush their enemies. Who is Mr. Capricus? Verdict asked Aola, voice trembling. A fixer, Aola replied grimly. Humans send them to deal with problems no one else can handle. He does this kind of work on the side. As a hobby. Verdict and Swams exchanged horrified glances. Fixers were legends, unstoppable forces of precision and destruction. Why is someone like that doing station inspections? Verdict muttered. Because he can, Ola said, watching the chaos unfold. They've sent a distress signal, Swam said, his voice unsteady. The humans? For what? Verdict snapped, rounding on the black Ural. No, not the humans, sir. The Prill, Swams replied glumly, turning his data slate to show the screen. They've sent an SOS to all Prill on the station. Get everyone inside their rooms or shops. I want a full lockdown, Verdict barked, spinning to face Aola. Ola, move those giant wobbly cheeks of yours to the nurseries. I know the Prill, they might use innocents as shields. Go. Both nodded and darted off, Verdict heading toward the humans while Ola ran toward the nurseries. The station had over 1,000 Prill, half of them affiliated with gangs. The rest were decent folk, but Verdict needed to ensure their safety and warn the humans. By the time he reached the old warehouse attachment, he was gasping for air. What he found there stopped him in his tracks at Charnel House. The Prill had responded quickly, assuming the human destroyer would be vulnerable without its crew. They had underestimated the presence of a human fixer and his cleanup crew. Thinking they had an advantage when the humans ran out of bullets, the Prill rushed forward with melee weapons. But Mr. Capricus and his team were more than prepared. To the fixer, these Prill were just currency for the blood debt owed over his cat. He butchered them methodically, his calm demeanor making the scene even more chilling. Verdict watched horrified as Mr. Capricus cut down the Prill with precision, their weapons bouncing harmlessly off his state-of-the-art armor. The other humans were equally ruthless, moving with eerie efficiency, almost as if they were bored. "Nurseries are secure," Boss Ola reported cheerily through his earpiece. "The Nikki have everyone accounted for, and the babies are still sleeping. Had to smash a few heads, though." "Good call." Swams chimed in next. "Everyone's on lockdown. Anyone still outside is probably a gang member. They're killing them." "All of them," Verdict said numbly. How Swams asked in disbelief. "Just stay out of their way," Boss Aola added. Mr. Capricus was soaked in orange Prill blood, his once pristine suit a wreck. His face and arms were splattered, the cuts on his attire revealing the advanced Mortec armor beneath. Verdict had thought him a fixer, but now he wondered if he was something far worse. Had the Prill really been foolish enough to kill the pet of a human assassin? An assassin who came armed with diplomatic immunity, no less. Verdict shuddered, imagining what might have happened had Mr. Capricus been inspecting his station during Verdict's more ruthless pirating days. Aola, Verdict asked quietly, staring at the bisected body of a Prill ganger. "Who on earth did you invite onto this station?" Aola's voice came through his earpiece again. I swear Birdie he had full credentials on the data site. Tons of glowing reviews from other station managers. How was I supposed to know? "I don't think this is all he does," Verdict muttered as Mr. Capricus, now dripping with blood, turned to meet his gaze. "Mr. Verdict," the human said calmly, wiping his hands clean with a handkerchief. "Mr. Capricus," Verdict stammered. "Is everyone okay?" "We'll be fine," Mr. Capricus replied with a polite smile. "And I can say I'm satisfied." Verdict's eyes widened. Nearly 400 dead Prill lay scattered in the warehouse, yet the human spoke as if it had been nothing. "Good," Verdict managed, clearing his throat. "I'll have the crew from the Eagle's Wind come to help clean up." "My apologies," Mr. Capricus said earnestly. "I lost my composure due to the death of my cat. I regret you had to witness this." Verdict forced a shrug, imitating Aola. "I'll get over it." "Good," Mr. Capricus said with a laugh, clapping Verdict on the shoulder. As they walked out of the warehouse together, Verdict hesitated. "You're not just an inspector, are you?" Mr. Capricus smiled. "No." "Am I in trouble?" Verdict asked nervously. "Not at all," Mr. Capricus replied. "You've done nothing wrong. This was simply an unfortunate incident. Had I known the Prill were here or about your outdated locks, I would have taken better precautions." "My brother's ship," Verdict corrected. "Yes, of course," Mr. Capricus said with a laugh. As they exited, more humans poured out of the destroyer, carrying mops, buckets, and body bags. "Do I owe you anything for this?" Verdict asked hesitantly. "No," Mr. Capricus replied, removing his ruined blazer. "I should have been more careful. She was clever, even in old age. This is my fault." Verdict watched as the crew began collecting the remains. "What are you going to do with the bodies?" They'll be processed into gems, Mr. Capricus said matter-of-factly, then buried alongside Fluffiness. The rest of Mr. Capricus's visit was uneventful. News of the incident spread, and relief washed over the station as the gang problem was resolved. The station received approval, Verdict gained a pardon for his past crimes, and the hub soon flourished with activity. To commemorate the event, Verdict commissioned a small statue of Flufferness to be placed at the human docking area. Mr. Capricus flew back for the unveiling, and to Verdict's surprise, the man was moved to tears. This was the same man who had butchered over 400 prill without hesitation, yet here he was, crying over a cat statue. True to his word, Verdict later surprised Aola with a top-of-the-line Jelly Belly 61 relaxation tub. Boss Aola gasped, holding her hands to her face. "This is worth 50,000 credits. Told you I'd get you something nice," Verdict replied with a grin. But as Aola shed her suit and jumped into the tub, Verdict turned red and bolted out the door. "Stars, Aola, don't do that in front of me." Laughing, Aola called after him. "Thank you, boss." Verdict chuckled to himself as he hurried away. "I really need to get a screen for that room.